The endpoint in 10 years is to take everybody actually digital. Eventually, at the very end, basically no people.
Hopefully the welder's not taking the replacement of somebody, but also maybe even allowing that person to be re-educated into a new field as a robot programmer, possibly.
And with our partners, many of whom are in this room today, Alberta Canada will continue to be a major player in the energy industries of the future, while simultaneously fulfilling our obligation to responsibly retire our legacy producing assets.
The world is excited because they know that Alberta is the best place in the world to invest in the oil and gas sector, almost any sector. And we're here, we're willing, and we're ready to partner as an Alberta government. And it's not just oil and gas, it's also energy. Like, let's look at the opportunities in hydrogen and so many different fuel sources right now that are coming to out through technology. It's just an exciting time to be in energy and an exciting time to lead the world in energy here in Alberta.
Sydney Fazard for Rebel News. Many high-profile individuals in the energy industry from around the world recently attended the Global Energy Show in downtown Calgary. This event is a breeding ground for technological innovation, industry networking, and political manifestations. Premier Smith and Premier Moe were in attendance, along with other politicians such as Minister of Energy and Minerals of Alberta, Brian Jean. We spoke with some of these politicians to find out what direction the energy industry is going in for Alberta and what challenges Prime Minister Trudeau has presented with his 2030 net zero just transition. Thousands attended this event with hundreds of presentations and exhibits to be explored. We interviewed those taking part to get a feel for where this conference thinks the energy industry is headed in the years ahead, especially now considering the rapid development of new and evolving technologies and globalist efforts to maintain environmental social governance scores. If you want to help us cover these events, go to rebelfieldreports.com and donate.
Please join me in welcoming the Honourable Premier Danielle Smith to the stage.
Thanks so much, Nick. I don't know how many of you were here last time I was on the stage for this show, but I was introducing the then Premier, Jason Kenney. And I left the stage, a protester came. They had to disrupt the show while he was pried away from the lectern. So I'm glad that didn't happen this year, although I suppose the day is still early. And Alberta's energy sector is at the forefront of innovation, research and development. We'll keep driving forward, innovating, constantly improving standards, reducing emissions, and cleaning up legacy assets, all the way to net zero by 2050. Because the world needs oil and natural gas, and demand is going to continue for decades to come. And with our partners, many of whom are in this room today, Alberta Canada will continue to be a major player in the energy industries of the future, while simultaneously fulfilling our obligation to responsibly retire our legacy producing assets.
We're Skiing's Pneumatic and Automation out of Western Canada. And one of our biggest energy savings products is actually the air compressors and blowers, where we're looking at saving customers energy with new efficient technology. And then over here in this energy show, what seems to have caught everybody's attention is the robots, which has been a very big business for us as of late. This particular robot here, lots of different applications. This is showing a pick and place, palletizing, CNC machines. And then this robot over here is doing welding, which has taken off for us quite substantially. Not too many welders in the workforce right now, and people are looking for alternatives to weld for them. We're finding that not only just repetitive tasks, but also tasks that may be harmful for people. So, welding can be a harmful job. We've looked at things like sandblasting, cutting, and the idea really is that hopefully the welder's not taking the replacement of somebody, but also maybe even allowing that person to be re-educated into a new field as a robot programmer, possibly.
So this is Hexagon. We are with the Asset Lifecycle Intelligence Division. Our motto is empowering an autonomous future. We basically are software infrastructure for every important industry you can think of. We touch 90% of oil and gas worldwide, 70% of EPCs, and Yeah, we have the software to make you safer, more profitable, and better connected throughout your entire life cycle, from designing to building, operating, maintaining, and even cybersecurity. The endpoint in 10 years is to take everybody actually digital. You'd be surprised how many facilities are still run on paper. Many big, important, critical infrastructure still relies on that. Eventually, it's a fully autonomous facility that requires less safety risk for employees, more efficiency, and eventually at the very end, basically no people other than the ones that you need to actually run the facility, but that can all be done remote, which means less safety risk, better efficiency, less cost.
My name is Dennis Gibson. I'm with the Snowline Group based in Whitefish, Montana. And what I've actually noticed here is that there's a lot of interest at the stand in terms of the linkage between Montana and Alberta. There seems to be a lot of keen interest to actually link the two very closely, and a lot of people are saying, why is there even a border between the two of us? Because there just seems to be so much common interest. Coming up from Montana into Alberta and Canada, there's just such a close linkage between the two. We love coming up here, and I think there's a lot of the Canadians love actually coming down to Montana as well.
The world is excited because they know that Alberta is the best place in the world to invest in the oil and gas sector, almost any sector. And we're here, we're willing, and we're ready partner as an Alberta government. And it's not just oil and gas, it's also energy. Like, let's look at the opportunities in hydrogen and so many different fuel sources right now that are coming to out through technology. It's just an exciting time to be in energy, and an exciting time to lead the world in energy here in Alberta.
So, and maybe not in too much detail, but what are the deals that are being made here today?
Well, those are private deals through corporations, but the truth is that I talked to a number of people already. I talked to a Ukrainian delegation here that have had success in getting investment in the oil and gas sector in Western Ukraine. I've talked to some people from the Czech Republic, and they're interested in getting some people investing, and they say they've had some really good response. So, people make the deals, they go to side rooms, and they get the deal to happen. But the truth is, Alberta is the leader in the oil and gas and energy sector in the world, and we are not going to apologize for doing the best job in the world, and that's why people all around the world are coming here to be part of the success story of Alberta.
And my last question is Danielle Smith doing her part in that?
Danielle Smith is doing more than her part. She's doing an incredible job leading our team to make sure that we are the number one place in the world to invest, the number one place in the world for quality of life, and to make sure that we have everything we need here, provided by the government. But the truth is that the government has to be there to support Albertans, and it is.
Essentially, with traditional computing, like Amazon, Google, all of the internet is centralized on these big data centers. Bitcoin provides distributed computing, hence the decentralization, to secure the network. And we're providing turnkey solutions for natural gas producers to get Bitcoin mines operating on their network. So essentially the number one cost with Bitcoin mining is your energy. So in Alberta, we've got lots of energy, lots of stranded natural gas that can be converted into electricity to power data centers that mine Bitcoin all around Alberta, decentralized. We're obviously fully against a CBDC in Canada.
CO2 Coalition is a group of scientists headquartered in Arlington, Virginia, and there's about 7 or 8 of us Canadian members, and we decided to put a booth together this year for the oil show to promote the fact that oil and gas is from nature. It formed from biomass that was generated a long time ago, and that CO2 and combustion help photosynthesis and grow plants, and byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen, which we breathe every day. We're also here to inform the people that CO2 in the atmosphere, despite what you may hear politically, is at historical geological lows. We went from about 7,000 parts per million 500 million years ago to the current level of about 410 parts per million. And once CO2 falls below 200 parts per million, plant life will cease to exist. So we're here to promote the science behind CO2 and to inform people that CO2 is not a driver of climate change or global warming. It's a natural phenomenon that occurs, and it's the most important gas in the atmosphere is CO2, because without it we have no plant matter and we have no oxygen supply.
Now, what do you think about the just transition and net zero by 2030?
It's going to be impossible to attain. It's a waste of time and money, and it's just all political, and it's never going to happen in my mind.
With Smith now affirming her position as Premier, does that have an impact, would you say?
Well, I think it does. I think the oil and gas industry is going to get promoted under Smith, and we're essential. One must remember that of all the hydrocarbons produced in the world every day, and by the way, there's no such thing as a fossil fuel, they're called hydrocarbons, 43% is used for transportation in all forms, 57% is used for pharmaceuticals, agriculture, fertilizer, synthetics, cosmetics, and every other thing that we use every day in our lives. People tell me they can live without oil and gas. Well, if they drive an electric car, they don't need gasoline, but they have everything else that they have in their home is either synthetic, pharmaceutical, or cosmetic.
My name is MC Bouchard. I'm the ADM for the ESG Secretariat.
We're here at the Alberta Canada booth at the Global Energy Show. What is inspired your presence here?
To be supportive of, first of all, Albertans, and to be supportive of, global energy needs and focuses. So, this government has a big focus, of course, on energy security, which, as you may have heard during the past 3 days, includes, a whole bunch of different, solutions, both sort of the traditional forms of energy that we use today and some of the newer forms of energy that we want to transition to. But at the end of the day, it has to be secure, right? Which we view as affordable, reliable, accessible, all of the above.
In a sense, there's, when it comes to the energy industry, I know there's a lot of people that are kind of on one side or another in a sense. Most people are probably in the middle. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it's Alberta's playing both sides of the fence.
Mm-hmm. I think we have to, right? Because we're such an important producer of energy, both for, in Alberta locally, but also in Canada and abroad, that I think we have to try to be balanced in the way that we approach it, right? As I said, I focus on environmental, social, and governance issues, and I think that's where that comes into play, is that, as we are moving forward in our ambitions to reduce emissions, we have to balance it with ensuring, good social outcomes, and we do that through, strong governance. So I honestly think we have to be in the middle, right, and bring forward the perspective of we need to move forward in a balanced way and in a successful way so that energy remains accessible and affordable.
The oil emissions cap, or the oil production cap that the federal government has is, essentially, as I think we agree that we're capping some of the most sustainable oil that you can find on Earth, and we should actually be looking, and we do have a target to produce more oil by the year 2030, because we believe it should be available to the world to displace some dirtier sources of oil. I think you find Premier Smith looking at that through a very similar lens.
We also interviewed Premier Scott Moe of Saskatchewan. To see that full interview, go to rebelnews.com. For Rebel News, Sydney Fizard. To help us cover events like this, please consider donating to rebelfieldreports.com. Unlike mainstream media, we don't get handouts from the government just to survive. We exist because of your donations. So if you want to see more, go to rebelfieldreports.com and donate.